Are you a busy business owner or executive? Well, then you must be managing contracts, and you might have to deal with contract sprawl. What I mean with that is you've got suppliers, customers, freelancers, employees, things like insurances, but also subscriptions for which you might have explicit or implicit contracts, and you're trying to keep track of it all. Well, maybe you're getting some of it via email, maybe you're trying to store some of it in your preferred cloud storage or on physical backups, and God forbid you might be getting physical contracts too, maybe from the government. In the most common attempt I see for managing this is a combination of cloud storage, maybe occasionally some spreadsheets, and perhaps you're setting deadlines for the most critical things. But that's hardly a system, and it's not helping you move faster. Well, I spent 12 years in the music industry, and both during my time running my business, but also when selling it, I was just confronted with the lack of tooling that we had to do a good job of managing all of this in an efficient way. And that is why I built Contracko. So Contracko helps you gain control over your contracts. And I'm going to demonstrate you how. So this is our landing page. And to get started tracking, you can simply drop a file and you're off to the races. Now I have the app open, which is what you see when you log in. And you'll get to our onboarding. And our onboarding will help you get started in seconds. So I created a demo organization called Tech Ventures. We're going to upload a freelance agreement with somebody working for us. And our AI is going to parse this. Now, what this is doing in the background is it's looking at who is a contract between. It's looking at the key dates where it is reasoning about the dates too, where, for example, they may be staggered. The language is not always the same. So if a contract has a term of 1 year, well, then you can infer the deadline, the end date. But then that contract might also have a notice date, which is going to be a period before the end date of the contract, and it may have a renewal cycle. Of course, it's also summarizing it, and basically it's going to help you interpret and organize all your contracts with very little to no manual work. And as you can see, here's what it did. It extracted that this is a freelance service agreement between Sarah Anderson, and she's been created. It's been tagged as freelance services. The annual value is 10K a year, and it's active. And maybe we want to leave a note, so we'll say, Sarah and I had a great onboarding call. It is inferred the start and the end date, so it's an annual contract, and it is renewing annually, and it has a 1 month notice period, 30 days to be specific. And then our system too has created notifications which are going to be sent before this notice date, because this date is very vital. And I'm sure you've encountered this. You have an agreement, like let's say for an office lease, it is for 2 or 3 years, but you need to give notice maybe 3 months before the end date. And that's very tricky. And you want to be reminded before that notice date. And so that's what we do. So we stagger these. 1 month before the notice date, 1 week before the notice date. You can ignore this bottom screen. It's just something I run in my local development environment. And at the top here, you can see the files. So the freelance agreement that we updated is the primary contract. And every instance of a contract in Contracko has a primary contract. And then you can upload supporting documents, like let's say an addendum or any personal documentation. So we're just going to save and publish this, and our first contract has been created. Now, here you can view what's been created. You can see the counterparty, all the terms we discussed, the notifications, that these are scheduled to be sent. You could view your files and contract and leave comments for later reference. What you can do too is you can trigger an example notification to see how that ends up in your inbox. And I'm just going to show you how the counterparty creation works. So this is the instance for Sarah. Sarah has associated contracts, namely one, which is the one we had just created. And for now, Sarah's been tagged as a company. But we could say, okay, well, Sarah actually is an individual. But we'll leave it company for now, and then we could see, okay, who's the contact person for this company? We'll just say it's Sarah herself, and we can add an email address. Or maybe tag her, so we'll say web design. Excellent. Then I'll show you the categories. So here we'll see freelance services. You might want to retitle that to freelancers, and that's going to work. And then in our overview, you can actually filter these contracts. So you could say, okay, I only want to see contracts which are terminated. And we have none of those, but we have an active one. Navigation in the app is very simple. We have a very efficient Command-K menu, which you can open up via the search. So we could go to Sarah like this, or we could go back to this freelance service agreement. And then we have the calendar tab. And I love this because it can give you a bird's eye view of all the key contract dates, namely start dates, end dates, notice dates, and notifications. This is the yearly view. We also have a monthly view. And then, if you want to go from reactive to proactive, we have a calendar integration. Now, this is my local environment, but if you log into the app, you'll see the same thing. You can copy this link, and then you can go to any preferred calendar application, be it Apple, Google, Outlook, or another one, and you can pull this in, and it's going to refresh based on the cadence that the calendar does, because they mandate it. We cannot control it, with the exception of Apple Calendar, where you can choose to refresh. But what's going to happen is whenever you update contracts, add new ones, remove them, it's going to be reflected in your calendar application whenever it fetches. This is beautiful. And you can also choose which dates to include or not. So you could disable start dates, for example, and that's going to be reflected on the next fetch. Now, I have my personal calendar open, and I'm just going to show you how this looks. So I already have a calendar imported. Basically, in Google Calendar, what I would do is I would do here, add calendar from URL. I'd paste that here, and it will show up like this, Contracko contract. And then you could see it has all the key information. So for example, we use Railway for our infrastructure. You could see here, this is the notice deadline for this month's renewal. And if you want to view the full contract, you can click here and you'll be sent there. And of course, this also works on mobile. So in a nutshell, this is Contracko, and I'm confident that this tool is going to help you save time and money in multiples of the expense. And I'm very eager to help more business owners and executives gain control over their contracts with as little effort as possible. I'm Budi, and if you have any questions, let me know. Thanks for your time.